We're here, we're finally here. It's the Emperor's Children Codex, and we're going to have a flick through and have a look at all the rules. I'm incredibly excited for this one. It's one I've been waiting for a while. I've been kind of fiddling around with a few Emperor's Children colour schemes, done some conversions of noise marines and things you'll have seen on my channel, and we finally got, like, some actual models, some actual rules. We've got the Codex here. I'm going to flick through everything in the Codex and see how it all kind of pans out. So we've got the army rules. We're going to go through all the detachments, all the enhancements, all the stratagems, and then we're going to get to the data sheets as well. The demons, the Slaanesh demons, are in this Codex as well, which is really cool. So we're able to there's also a detachment purely for the demons as well, so we can do a very, very cool Emperor's Children and Slaanesh combination. And yeah, it's just going to be really, really good fun. And the army rules, so we're going to start with the army rules. Let's start off with the army rules. Let's get straight into it. So it's really simple. So if your army faction is Emperor's Children, which it is obviously going to be, if you, then the unit, so any unit that you pick that has Emperor's Children as the faction keyword, is eligible to shoot and declare a charge. So we're shooting and charging when we advance or fall back. So advance and charge, advance and shoot, fall back and shoot, fall back and charge, blah blah blah. The only difference is, the only stipulation, if you like, is that it cannot target a unit that it was within engagement range at the start of the turn, and it cannot target a unit that was the target of another unit's charge or attack this phase. So you can't, what's something I used to do with my wraiths, Necron wraiths, you can't charge something tagged like a vehicle and then fall back and then charge that vehicle again. You have to charge something different. You have to excessively, although I suppose excess would have been like just continuously fall back and charge in the same unit. Anyway, you can't do that. They don't want you to do that. It's a nice little rule in there just to have a little bit more variety within the games and within the gameplay. So you can advance and charge, you can fall back and charge. So you can fall back from a unit and charge another unit. However, you can't fall back and charge. You can't fall back and charge one unit with two units. So two of your units can't charge one unit if they advanced. Now they can if they didn't advance. Which is interesting. So you can, as long as one of the units didn't advance, they can charge a unit, and then another unit can come in, advance and charge that unit. So you can get 2 on 1. It's not saying that you can't charge 2 units into 1 unit. It's just saying that you can't do it if you'd advanced or if you have fallen back. So interesting. And they've also got the Pact of Excess. So when mustering your army, unless specifically stated otherwise, you cannot select Legions of Excess as your army faction. Now, Legions of Excess is the Chaos Demon side of things. So there is a Legions of Excess detachment where you can have a few more Legions of Excess within your army. But unless otherwise specified, you cannot select Legion of Excess as your army faction, which is absolutely fine. Okay, let's have a look at some of the detachments. And the first one is the Mercurial host. There are 6 detachments. There are 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there are 6 detachments in this book, which is insane. It's insane to me that we've got to a point now where there are kind of a smaller faction based armies that have got this amount of detachments. Like if you think back to things like the Blood Angels and stuff like that, I think they had 4. Yeah, even so, we've got these smaller factions which now have like an absolute plethora of detachment options open to them. And the first one for the Emperor's Children is the Mercurial host, and it's a really, really simple one. It's kind of like the first one is always going to be. It's not always going to be. The first one is the base kind of bog standard cookie cutter, straight out of the box. This is how you kind of want to play as Emperor's Children. And the detachment rule is really simple. You can re-roll advance rolls made for Emperor's Children units in your army. Dead cool. You can advance and charge. Now you can re-roll your advance rolls as well. The army in of itself is already quick. So a lot of the units have 7-8 inch move anyway, so they're already going to be quick. Add an advance roll onto that, add your charging onto that as well. You're going to be super quick. You're going to be really, really good fun to kind of play around with and pressurize the opponent. So yeah, re-roll advance rolls for Mercurial host is a good starting point. Getting into the enhancements, the first one is Steeped in Suffering, and it's Emperor's Children model only, which I'm pretty sure all of these are going to be. And each time a model in the bearer's unit makes an attack that targets an enemy unit that is below its starting strength, add 1 to the hit roll. If it's below half strength, you can add 1 to the wound roll. So we're seeing a lot of these sort of enhancements coming up, and they're I almost think they're like a win more button. They don't give you any bonus to get the game started kind of thing. They just give you a bonus once you're already winning. So once you've already killed something from that unit, which, let's be honest, you're always trying to wipe out units from the start. Once you've started killing it, you can just kill it better, which is fine. It's Steeped in Suffering. It's thematic, I suppose. But yes, so we're adding 1 to the hit roll and we're adding 1 to the wound roll if the target is below half strength, and you can just like absolutely destroy it. So Intoxicating Musk is the next one. Emperor's Children model only. Each time a melee attack targets a bearer's unit, if the strength characteristic of that attack is greater than the toughness characteristic of that unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. So if you were going to be wounding them on a 3, you're now wounding them on a 4. If you're going to be wounding them on a 2, you're now wounding them on a 3. Which is really, really useful. So yeah, that one's cool, and it applies for the whole unit as well. So Tactical Perfection, Emperor's Children model unit, and Emperor's Children model only. After both players have deployed, you can select 2 Emperor's Children units and you can redeploy them. When doing so, you can put them in strategic reserves regardless of how many units are already in strategic reserve. So this is one of those null deploy ones. You can pull them off the table, stick them in strat reserve if you need to. Really useful. I love these kind of strats, and yeah, it's good to have. It's very, very cool to have this as particularly with a fast-moving army like the Emperor's Children as well. You can kind of pull them off or redeploy, pressure deploy and then redeploy and pull them back, or defensively deploy and then redeploy if you want to kind of push a little bit further forward, or just kind of pull them straight up into strat reserve so they can come straight back down again. So then the final enhancement is Loathsome Dexterity, and this is each time a model in the bearer's unit makes a normal, advance or fallback move, it can move through enemy models. When doing so, it can move within engagement range, but it cannot end within engagement range, and any desperate escape test is automatically passed. This is really useful for kind of getting into the back lines. So if you want to charge into the front of a unit, and then in your turn, or if they've charged into you in your turn, you can then go straight through them and charge something behind the enemy lines. It's useful. I like it. It's going to be really good for probably the flawless blades and things like that. Okay, so the stratagems, we have Violent Excess, and this is Sustained Hits 1 for an Emperor's Children unit. So it's in the fight phase and they can get sustained hits for their melee weapons. That's 1 command point. The Combat Stims is 2 command points, and this is until the end of the phase. Each time an attack targets your unit is -1 to wound. Again, this is in the fight phase, and you can pick an infantry unit from your army that was selected as the target of 1 or more attacks. So as soon as you get targeted and charged, then you can do -1 to wound. It is 2 command points. Feels quite expensive for -1 to wound, but yeah, it's certainly going to be a useful one. Again, this is it's kind of like the cookie cutter detachment. This one, so nice, useful kind of toolbox stratagem there. Honour the Prince is the next battle tactic, and this is 1 command point again. This is in your movement phase, so 1 Emperor's Children infantry unit from your army that has not been selected to move can automatically move 6 inches for an advance. So rather than having to roll or re-roll, then you can pay 1 command point and you can just automatically move 6 inches. Now this is because you're already re-rolling the advances anyway from the detachment. It feels like a little bit of a waste of a strat. If it's the end game and you really need to get onto a Really, I'm complete brain blank. When you really completely need to get onto an objective, and you are 6-inch move advance away from that objective, maybe you could spend your 1 command point. But honestly, re-rolling your advances anyway, you've got a pretty high chance of rolling a 5 or a 6. So this is going to be an incredibly slim use, but yeah, Honour the Prince, automatic advance roll of 6 for 1 command point. Dark Vigour. When your opponent's movement phase just after an enemy unit ends a normal advance or fallback move, one Emperor's Children unit from your army, excluding beasts and vehicles, so you can't do this with a Rhino or a Land Raider, that is within 9 inches, can then make a normal move of up to 6. So it's the old classic Eldar move. And it's one of it's one of these ones that's going to be a deterrent of don't get within 9 inches of that unit, because then I'll be able to use this stratagem and move 6 inches. So it kind of holds everybody back, holds the enemy back, and stops your opponent moving too close. And particularly when you've got things like charging, so you can kind of preemptively say, well, if you do become within 9 inches of this unit, then I can move up to 6 inches either away or towards you. So you're kind of forcing their hand to try and make a 9-inch charge, which is quite cool. Capricious Reactions is 1 command point. It's in your opponent's shooting phase, and you can pick an Emperor's Children unit from your army that was selected as a target, and until the end of the phase it's -1 to hit. Fine, yeah, it's great. 1 command point this time, rather than 2 command points for the -1 to wound. And yeah, shooting phase, absolutely fine. Cruel Raiders is the final stratagem in this detachment, and this is at the end of your opponent's fight phase. One Emperor's Children unit from your army that is wholly within 9 inches of one or more battlefield edges, and not within 3 inches horizontally of one or more enemy units, so not in combat range. Remove them from the battlefield and place them in strategic reserve. So we get to bounce for 1 command point, which is great, but you have to be within 9 inches of a battlefield edge. So you can't just pull them up from anywhere on the table. I kind of like that stipulation, but it's going to be, you're going to have to really plan for that one, and you have to have this kind of idea up your sleeve that you want to do this the turn before, sort of thing, because otherwise your unit is not likely really going to be within 9 inches of one or more battlefield edge. Like you tend to want to be within the centre of the board, maybe if you're doing something down out in the corners or something, but it is wholly within as well, so it's not like you can just kind of tow in part of your unit. So it's got to be one that you need to be planning for very, very much if you want to make a jump. If you've seen your enemy make a mistake in their turn, then maybe you can just kind of shuffle a unit over to so they're within 9 inches of the table edge, and then next turn you'll be able to drop in behind their line, so something like that. But yeah, there we go. So that's the sort of the first one. Mercurial Host is a bit of a cookie cutter one. It'll be a great one to kind of start with if you want to kind of dip your toes into Emperor's Children. Then this is the one that you can kind of start with, and it gives you plenty of ability to be quick around the battlefield. And yeah, it's a good solid detachment, to be fair, to start with. Right, so the next one. So the detachment rule for the Peerless Bladesman is rather interesting. It's a very, very cool detachment. I do like this one. Each time an Emperor's Children unit from your army is selected to fight, so it's only in the fight phase. If it made a charge move this turn, select one of the abilities below. So you can either have lethal hits or sustained hits if you charge that turn, which is, I think that's really quite cool, particularly with some of the skills that you will find out when we get into some of the data sheets later on. The enhancements, we've got Faultless Opportunist. So the Emperor's Children model only, you can target the bearer's unit with a heroic intervention stratagem for 0 command points. And you can do this even if you've already targeted a different unit with that stratagem this phase. So you can always get like your Faultless Blades or something. If you've got a hero in there, you can always get them heroically intervening, which is quite interesting. It gives you a lot of manoeuvrability around the battlefield. And then the same with Blinding Speed as well. Once per battle at the start of the fight phase, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does so until the end of the phase, models in the bearer's unit have fights first. So it's once per battle, but if you stick this on some of the really cool combat units in the Codex, and this is going to be great fights first. It's only once per battle, but you only really need to kind of tip the scales of a battle once, and then if you can keep the pressure on, you can steamroller and snowball effect that battle across. We've got Distortion, which is the next one. Again, this is Emperor's Children model only. Add 1 to the attacks and damage characteristics of melee weapons equipped by the bearer. Now, some of the models have got an awful lot of attacks. Where are we? We have the Demon Prince, the Chaos Demon Prince, has got 14 attacks at damage 1, so you could have 15 attacks at damage 2, which would be insane. Or it's got 6 attacks at damage 3, so again you could have 7 attacks at damage 4. Which is rather fun. So putting this on a Demon Prince would be rather good fun. Quite like that. And then Rise to the Challenge is the last one. Again, this is Emperor's Children infantry model only this time, so no monsters or anything for this one. Once per battle at the end of the fight phase, if this bearer is within engagement range of 3 or more enemy models, it can use this enhancement. If it does, the bearer can fight 1 additional time. When doing so, you can select 1 ability using the Exquisite Swordsman detachment rule to apply to those attacks. So once you do that, you can then pick lethal hits or sustained hits. You'd probably pick sustained hits to get an extra attack at the end of the fight phase, which is really interesting. The stratagems are also really cool for this detachment. So we have Deft Parry. So this is in the fight phase. 1 Emperor's Children unit from your army that was selected as the target of 1 or more attacking units' attacks, and they are -1 to hit. So another -1 to hit. Again, this is 1 command point. However, Death Ecstasy is 2 command points, and this is until the end of the phase. Each time a model in your unit is destroyed, they get to fight on death. So yeah, not even a roll, it's just a flat out 2 command points fight on death, which is really good for a combat based army, particularly in this detachment, because you can get sustained hits or lethal hits on these attacks as well. Incessant Violence for 1 command point. Fight phase just before the Emperor's Children unit has consolidated. Until the end of the phase, you can consolidate 6 inches rather than 3 inches. Again, really manoeuvrable. Great for a combat kind of detachment. Cruel Bladesman, also 1 command point, and this is in the fight phase. Until the end of the phase, you are increasing the armor penetration of the melee weapons in that unit by 1. Again, really useful. They've got some high AP in the army list anyway, so increasing that by a further 1 is going to be really good. And Terrifying Spectacle is the 5th one. So this is in your opponent's command phase. 1 Emperor's Children unit from your army that made a charge move in the previous turn and destroyed 1 or more enemy units in the previous fight phase. Each enemy unit within 6 inches of that unit must take a battle shock test at -1 if they are below half strength. Enemy units affected by this stratagem do not need to take any other battle shock tests for this same phase. However, if you are powering through and just destroying a unit that's in your enemy's backfield, and you're trying to hold an objective or something, trying to capture the enemy's objective, if you can get onto that objective and then force a battle shock test with the unit which is contesting that objective with you, and they fail it, then of course you're going to be gaining and denying them victory points for sitting on that objective, which is really good. Cut down the week, 2 command points this time, so it better be a good one. 1 Emperor's Children unit from your army. You can only select a vehicle if it is a walker that is within 6 inches of that enemy unit and would be eligible to declare a charge against the unit if it were your charge phase. So this is declared in your opponent's movement phase just after an enemy unit has fallen back. So if an enemy unit falls back from you, as long as it's within 6 inches of that enemy unit and it could declare a charge, your unit can declare a charge. When doing so, you must select the enemy unit as a target of that charge, and your unit does not receive a charge bonus. However, you are able to lock that unit back into combat, which is really good. Also, this is because it's in your opponent's turn as well, so you can lock them in lock them in combat, and then of course you can wipe them out, and if you don't wipe them out, you can then fall back and charge something else as well, which would be really, really cool. Anyway, so that's I do like that one. It is 2 command points though, but it's probably worth it. Okay, rapid evisceration is the next detachment, and this is a very heavily transport orientated detachment. It's going to be very, very good fun. You can get lots of rhinos, lots of land raiders and things, and just jump out of all the transports. It's going to be really, really good. Right, anyway, the detachment rule is each time an Emperor's Children model from your army makes an attack, if it disembarked from a transport this turn, you can re-roll ones to hit and wound. So re-rolling ones to hit and wound. If you are hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s, and then if you're wounding on something like 3s or 2s, re-rolling 1s, you're going to be incredibly efficient. I would probably suggest things like noise marines for this. So if you can get noise marines and a rhino, get them noise marines out of a rhino, then you are hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s, and you're wounding on 3s, re-rolling 1s. You're just going to be so efficient. Anyway, Sublime Presence. Let's look at some of the enhancements. Emperor's Children infantry model only. Once per turn in your movement phase, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, select one friendly Emperor's Children transport that is in strategic reserves. Till the end of the phase, for the purposes of setting up that transport on the battlefield, treat the current battle number as 1 higher than it actually is. Really useful, bringing your transports in from strategic reserve in more interesting places around the battlefield. Spearhead Striker, Emperor's Children infantry model only again. Each time the bearer disembarks from a transport until the end of the turn, you can re-roll charge rolls made for the bearer's unit, and enemy units cannot use Overwatch stratagem to shoot at the bearer's unit. Fantastic! No Overwatch and re-roll charge when you're getting out of a transport. Fantastic, absolutely brilliant. So if you imagine putting that on a character and then getting some Terminators getting out of a Rhino, not a Rhino, a Land Raider. So you're charging out of a Land Raider, and they can't use Overwatch when you get out of the Land Raider, and then you can re-roll the charge as well. Incredible, really, really cool. I like it a lot. Accomplished Tactician. Emperor's Children infantry again, once per turn. In your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has shot, you can select one friendly Emperor's Children unit within 9 inches of the bearer that was hit by one of those attacks, and then select a friendly transport wholly within 6, and you can embark on it. So the Emperor's Children unit cannot embark within that transport. It's just brilliant. So if you're getting shot at and it's your so it's just really good. It's really good. So you got out of a transport in your turn. You've taken a shot at the enemy with some noise marines, for instance. You've wiped out the unit that you've been targeting. Your enemy has then moved around and taken some pot shots back at you. As soon as you take a little bit of as soon as you've taken a bit of damage, then you can use this, and you can just jump straight back into your Rhino, straight back into your Land Raider, and then of course this is their turn. So in your next turn, you can then move that. You can get out. You can get your bonuses for getting out of your transport, and you can kill something else. Fantastic! I like that one. So, Heretic Adept is your last one. The Codex is really cool, guys. The Codex is really cool. Heretic Adept. Emperor's Children infantry model only. Once per battle round, when a saving throw is failed for a friendly Emperor's Children vehicle within 6 inches of the bearer, you can change the damage of that damage characteristic of that attack to 0. So, if you're getting shot with a Bright Lance, and once per battle round, when you failed a saving throw on an Emperor's Children vehicle, it just does no damage. Brilliant. It's just really, really useful. Okay, let's have a look at the stratagems for this detachment, because it's really, really good fun. There's a number of detachments in here which are really good fun. There's a couple which are I think are going to be quite competitive as well, but the vast majority of them are just really fun, interesting, and synergistic ways of running the army. So by that I mean there are the detachment encourages you to run the army in a certain way, and then the stratagems and the enhancement and support that and synergize with that. which is really, really good. The Eldar Codex did that as well. A couple of the other codex have kind of fallen short a little bit on that. So on to the next is the first stratagem. So this is in the fight phase. Just after an Emperor's Children unit from your army destroys an enemy unit, it can just get back into a transport. So if your Emperor's Children unit is wholly within 6 inches of the transport, you can just get back into it, which is awesome. So fight phase, imagine doing this in your opponent's fight phase. So you've just managed to destroy a unit in their fight phase, and then you can jump back into one of your transports, and then in your turn you can then move off, get out, charge something else. Which is brilliant. Okay, so advance and claim. 1 command point again. This is in your command phase. 1 Emperor's Children transport from your army that has 1 or more Tormentor units embarked within it. Select 1 objective marker you control that your transport is within range of. That objective marker is now sticky and it's under your control. So Tormentors really useful for this. It's one of those basic kind of infantry units where you can sticky objectives, but you can sticky objectives while you are in a transport, which is great. Dynamic breakthrough. So this is in your movement phase. 1 Emperor's Children vehicle unit from your army that has not been selected to move. Till the end of the phase, each time the model in your unit makes a move, it can move through enemy models. Again, it's really, really good. When doing so, it cannot move within engagement range, blah, 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 blah. So you can't finish within engagement range. You don't have to take desperate escape test or anything like that, but being able to charge your Land Raider through the lines of something is fantastic. Right, the next one is Ceaseless Onslaught. This is 1 command point again, but this is in your charge phase. So 1 Emperor's Children unit that has just embarked from a transport that made a normal move this turn. Till the end of the phase, your Emperor's Children unit is eligible to declare a charge. So you can get out of rhinos and you can charge. Yeah, it's just so fun, so fast. Reactive disembarkation on this time though. So this is your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has picked its targets, and if it's picked a transport, you can disembark from that transport wholly within 6 inches of something. So you can get out of a transport and hide behind a building, anything like that. Yeah, great reactive disembarkation. That is 1 command point. And then outflanking strike. And this is in your opponent's fight phase. 1 Emperor's Children transport from your army, or up to 2 Emperor's Children dedicated transports from your army. For each of those transports wholly within 9 inches of one of the battlefield edges, you can remove them and put them into strategic reserve so they can come back next turn anywhere you like, which is great. Outflanking strike is that one. Okay. Alright, so Carnival of Excess is the next detachment. This is a detachment, if you like your Chaos Demons, if you like your Slanesh Demons, if you like your Demonettes, your Fiends, your Seekers, your Keepers of Secret, this is your detachment, because this detachment rule has Demonic Empowerment special rule, and it empowers every unit if they are within 6 inches of another unit of the opposite faction, if you like. So Emperor's Children and Legions of Excess. So you've got your Emperor's Children, Chaos Space Marines, and you've got your Slanesh Demons. If they are within 6 inches of a unit of the opposite, then you are empowered. And if you are empowered, you get sustained hits 1. However, you not only just get sustained hits 1. If such a weapon already has this ability, each time an attack is made, you can crit on a 5+ as well. So if you've already got sustained hits 1, you are critting on a 5, and this is you try and keep within 6 inches of each other's units, which is good. Now, Legions of Excess. How many points of Legions of Excess can you put into your army? Basically, you have 50% of your army as able to be taken as Legions of Excess. So if you're playing 2,000 point game, you can take 1,000 point of Slanesh Demons, which is really cool. and kind of makes sense if you want to be within an inch, within 6 inches of another unit. So if you can just throw in a few units and demonettes, stick them within range of some flawless blades, then they are both going to get sustained hits, yeah, they're both going to be empowered, and then the empowered key word kind of rolls through into some of the stratagems as well. So really, really interesting, really cool, and it's going to be very, very good fun to throw in some demons into the Emperor's Children army. Okay, Empiric Suffusion is the first enhancement, and once per battle round, you can target one friendly Slanesh unit within 6 inches of the bearer with a heroic intervention stratagem for 0 command points. One friendly Slanesh unit. Keeper of Secrets, anybody? Thank you very much. Heroic intervention. Dark Blessings, and if it's within 6 inches, of course, you are empowered, and therefore you get sustained hits as well with your Keeper of Secrets. This is so much fun. Dark Blessings, Emperor's Children infantry model only. Once per battle, just after an enemy has selected its targets, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, until the end of the phase, the bearer has a 3+ invuln. Yeah, okay, that's cool. It's once per battle, but 3+ invuln when you need to survive and win that battle round is really, really good. Possessed Blade, Emperor's Children model only. At the start of the battle, select one melee weapon equipped by the bearer. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of that weapon. In addition, each time the bearer is selected to fight, if you can use this enhancement. If it does, while resolving those attacks, you can add 1 to the damage characteristic of the weapon, and the weapon has devastating wounds and hazardous. So again, if you give this one to a Demon Prince, it's doing 15 attacks at damage 2, it's doing 7 attacks at damage 4, with devastating wounds, although it has hazardous like shucks. I can live with that. Really, really good. Warp Walker is the final enhancement, and you can give this one to an Emperor's Children or a Keeper of Secrets. Each time the bearer's unit advances, do not make an advance roll. Instead, it moves 6 inches. Each time a model in the bearer's unit makes a normal advance or fallback move, it can move through enemy models. This is going to be so cool for a Keeper of Secrets. And then when doing so, it can move within an engagement range of enemy models, but cannot end the move within an engagement range, and no desperate escape test is automatically passed. Yeah, it's going to be fun for a Keeper of Secrets, just kind of moving and going anywhere it's like. That's great. Right, the stratagems. These are fun. Sustained by Agony, 1 command point. This is in the fight phase, just after an Emperor's Children unit from your army destroys an enemy unit. Select 1 friendly Legion of Excess unit within 6. So this is the opposite side of the army. So Legions of Excess unit within 6. Remember, if you're within 6, you're going to be empowered. So this unit also gets sustained hits as well. 1 model in that Legions of Excess unit recovers up to 3 lost wounds. If it's a Demonette unit, return up to D3 plus 3 destroyed models instead. So if your Emperor's Children unit is killing things, then your Demonettes get better. Ecstatic Slaughter, fight phase, just after a Legions of Excess unit from your army destroys an enemy unit. That Legions of Excess unit and 1 friendly Emperor's Children unit within 6 that is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, and then your Emperor's Children unit can then declare a charge. If it does so and it has already been selected to fight this phase, it cannot fight again this phase. So fight phase, you can destroy something with a unit of Demonettes, and then Emperor's Children within 6 inches of that unit can then charge. It's just cool. Right, okay. Violent Crescendo. This is in the fight phase. 1 Slanesh Beasts unit, Slanesh Infantry, or Slanesh Mounted. So it's basically anything other than the Keeper of Secrets. Until the end of the phase, you can consolidate 6 inches instead of 3. And when doing so, it does not need to end that move closer to the closest enemy model, provided it ends the move as close as possible to the closest enemy unit. Yeah, fantastic, really good. We have a Sycophantic Surge, which is in your charge phase, and you can pick a Legions of Excess unit from your army. Till the end of the phase, your unit is eligible to declare a charge when it advanced or fell back, provided at least one of the targets of that charge is within engagement range of 1 or more Emperor's Children units from your army. So if your If an Emperor's Children unit is locked in combat, then your demonettes, for instance, can fall back and charge that unit, or they can advance towards that unit and charge it, and just kind of go and help out and back up that Emperor's Children unit, which is great. Uncanny reactions. Your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. One Slanesh unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks, they are now -1 to hit. So again, it's a Slanesh unit, so anything from the demon side, -1 to hit from shooting, which is really useful, being as they have quite a low armor save. Dark Apparitions is the final one. Now this is 2 command points, and it's the end of your opponent's fight phase, and you pick a demonette unit from your army that is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units, and you can bounce them. So demonettes bouncing out of the battlefield into strategic reserves, and then it can, if it arrives back onto the battlefield in the reinforcement steps of your next movement phase, using the Deep Strike ability, it can set up anywhere that is more than 6 inches horizontally away from enemy units and 9 inches instead of 9 inches, provided it is also set up wholly within 9 of one or more friendly Emperor's Children units. So you can Deep Strike next to an Emperor's Children unit and quite close as well, which is great. So a really, really nice detachment. It's full of kind of jank, if you like. It's full of like little nuances which you're going to be able to play around with, and I know a very, very good friend of mine who's going to absolutely love this detachment. And yeah, Emperor's Children, Chaos Demons, all combined together in a really, really fun, really cool detachment. And remember, you are going to get sustained hits on absolutely everything in combat as well, which is great. So the next one is the Coterie of the Conceited, and this is Pledges to the Dark Prince is the detachment rule. This is a little bit complicated, so let's get into it. Right, at the start of the battle round, if your warlord is on the battlefield, you must pledge a number to Slanesh, representing how many enemy units will be destroyed this battle round. At the end of the battle round, if the number of enemy units destroyed this battle is greater than or equal to your pledge, so if you've achieved your pledge, you gain a number of pact points equal to your pledge. So if you think you're going to destroy 2 units this turn, you say 2, and then if you do destroy 2 or 3 enemy units, then you get 2 points towards your pact total. Otherwise, you do not gain any pact points, and your warlord suffers D3 mortal wounds. Okay, Emperor's Children units from your army gain a bonus depending on how many pact points you have gained during the battle. So, if you have 1 pact point, so you're going to be able to get this in turn 2 if you want it. If you just pick 1 and you try and destroy 1 enemy unit, each time a model in this unit makes an attack, you can re-roll a hit roll of 1. Okay, so you can re-roll hit rolls of 1. If you can get 3 pact points, possible maybe for turn 2, each time a model in this unit makes an attack roll, you can re-roll the wound roll over 1. And then if you can get 5 pact points, so this is towards the end game, melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have lethal hits and sustained hits 1 abilities. And then finally, if you can get 7 pact points, then each time a model in this unit makes an attack, a critical hit is scored on an unmodified roll of a 5. So you're critting on a 5 with lethal and sustained hits, re-rolling ones on hitting and wounding. So it's quite interesting. I don't think it's the strongest detachment rule. You basically don't get a detachment rule in the first turn. So actually, when do you get the? Does it say when you get the bonus? At the end of the battle round, if the number of enemy units. Yeah. So at the end of the battle round, if you've achieved it, it's not like as soon as you achieve it, you get your pact numbers. So you want to be at least trying to kill something in the first turn, so that you can get your pact bonus by turn 2. And then if you can get, I don't know. It's an interesting one. It's not. I don't think it's the strongest one. But let's have a look at the enhancements and the stratagems and see if it makes up for it. So the enhancements. Emperor's Children model only. The first time the bearer is destroyed, take a leadership test for the bearer at the end of the phase. If that test is passed, you can set the bearer back up on the battlefield as close as possible to where they were destroyed, and not within engagement range of one or more enemy units, with D6 wounds remaining up to its wounds characteristics. So you can't get more. If you have a wounds characteristic of 5, you can't roll a 6 and have 6. So it's kind of cool. That's all right. It's quite good for a one of the combat characters. It's actually quite good for the cacophony as well. Yeah, so there we go. You can bring your dead character back once. So Pledge of Dark Glory is the next one. Emperor's Children model only. While the bearer is leading a unit, you can improve the leadership and objective control characteristics of the models in the unit by 1. Ooh, sorry, I'm just like objective control units, objective control characteristics. Right, yeah. Great, okay. You can tell I'm not hyped by this one at all. Pledge of Mortal Pain. Emperor's Children model only. At the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 12 inches of and visible to the bearer. Just going back to that Pledge of the Dark Glory, like the objective control and the leadership tests and anyway, so the leadership test and the objective control characteristics, they're just so, it's just such a dull thing to have been brought into the game. Like we want to be shooting things, we want to be in combat with things, we want to be using cool weapons, we want to be using cool melee swords and things. We don't want to be increasing how well we can hold a point on the battlefield. I have a pet peeve against the objective control characteristic. I don't think it's doing anything fun for the game. I can stand over there slightly better. Anyway, right, so yes, back to Pledge of Mortal Pain. I had a little bit of a rant there, I apologise. Emperor's Children model only. At the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 12 inches of and visible to the bearer. That unit must take a leadership test, subtracting 1 from the result if it is battle shocked. Battle shock, there we go, that's the word I was looking for earlier. If failed, that unit suffers 3 mortal wounds. Okay. Again, it does stuff. It does 3 mortal wounds. It just does it in the most boring way ever. Take a leadership test. Okay, you failed it. You're now battle shocked. Right, so Pledge of Unholy Fortune. Emperor's Children model only. Once per turn, just after making a hit roll, a wound roll, or a saving throw, if the bearer is not battle shocked, it can use this enhancement. If it does, treat the result as an unmodified roll of a 6 instead. So if you failed a saving throw, once per turn, you can just say, no, I've passed it on a 6. Okay, yeah, that's fine. This is definitely the most dull of the detachments. Right, so Protection of the Dark Prince is the first stratagem. Any phase just after a mortal wound or attack is allocated to a model in an Emperor's Children unit, you have a Feel No Pain 6+ ability, and if it's a mortal wound, you have Feel No Pain 4+. Great. Okay. Cool. So I have a Feel No Pain against some attacks. 1 command point for unshakable opponents. This is in the command phase. 1 Emperor's Children unit from your army. Until the end of the turn, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, you can ignore any and all modifiers to the following: ballistic skill, weapon skill, hit roll, or the wound roll. Okay, great. That's cool. Embrace the Pain. So yeah, so we're going to be able to 1 command point automatically hit with our noise marines. Well, not automatically hit, but like automatically hit on whatever our ballistic skill is on noise marines. Embrace the Pain. Start of the fight phase, 1 Emperor's Children infantry unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy model within engagement range of your unit selects targets it. Hang on. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy model within engagement range of your unit selects targets, it must select your unit as the target of its attacks. Right, okay, yes. So, if you're within range, if you're within engagement range, you have to pick that unit. So if you're in engagement range with 2 units, you can force your enemy to hit 1 particular unit. Whoop-de-doo. Martial Perfection. No, that's not fair. It's a useful stratagem. Martial perfection. So this is the 4 strat. So this is in the fight phase, and it's when one Emperor's Children unit from your army that has not been selected to fight, you can re-roll the hit roll for 1 command point. Okay, great. And then, so bearing in mind that we get, if we can get 1 pact bonus, we can re-roll the hit roll of a 1 in terms of the detachment rule as well. So maybe this is just a stratagem that you use on turn 1 when you don't get a detachment rule. Unbound Arrogance is the next one. You can really tell I don't like this detachment, can't you? 1 command point. When shooting phase or in the fight phase, just after an Emperor's Children unit from your army destroys an enemy unit, you can increase your pledge to Slaanesh by 1. You can only use this stratagem once per battle round. So at least, as long as you're destroying something, at least you can bump this pact bonus up quite quickly. So you can at least get to 5 by the end of the game if you want to use a command point every turn. So in order to make use of your detachment rule in the first battle round, you have to kill something. And then you can spend a command point to use your detachment rule. Armor of Aberrance is the final one. So this is in your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. And you pick 1 Emperor's Children unit from your army that was selected, and until the end of the phase, you worsen the armor penetration of that attack by 1. So you get a little bit more survivability. There we go. That is the most exciting. It's not. Yeah. So that's the pledges to the Dark Prince. I suggest not taking this detachment at all. I think it's dull, and I don't think it does anything. So just pass this one by. It'll probably turn out that this is now the best detachment, and somebody will go and win the LVO with it. But I can't see it. Right, so we have Slaanesh's Chosen. Let's see if this one is any better. The Internal Rivalries is a detachment rule, and its Emperor's Children character units from your army can ignore any or all modifiers to their move characteristic and any or all modifiers to advance and charge rolls made for them. So they can always charge 2d6, they can always advance a d6 roll, and they can always move their movement characteristic, which is great. And at the start of your battle, your Warlord's unit is your army's favoured champions. The first time in each player's turn that an Emperor's Children character unit from your army destroys an enemy unit, after resolving all of its attacks, that character unit becomes your army's new favoured champions, replacing the old one. For each time a model in your army's favoured champions unit makes an attack, you can re-roll the wound roll. Okay, so you start with a Warlord unit. That is the army's favoured champion, and they can re-roll the entire wound roll for that one unit. So you want to have one really, really good big unit that the Warlord's got. This detachment really, it doesn't really go into MSU, I don't think. I think this one favours larger units, so you want a large unit of faultless blades, you want a large unit of tormentors and things like that. And you want to be taking advantage of this reroll the wound roll. So if you can kill a unit, then you then become favoured, as long as you are led by a character, and then you can re-roll all your attacks within that unit, which is really, really good. So let's have a look at some of the enhancements and see if we can improve that even further. Emperor's Children model only. You can re-roll charge rolls for the bearer's unit, and while the bearer's unit is your favoured champions, you can add 2 to the move characteristic as well. So flawless blades become, I think they become a 10-inch move with this, which is nuts. I love that. We're going to get to them, but I love the flawless blades. I think they're fantastic. Really, really cool units. So they're going to. I'm pretty sure that makes them movement 10. They're movement 8 normally. Okay, so repulsed by weakness. Emperor's Children model only. Each time an enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, fall back, they have to take a desperate escape test. When doing so, if the bearer's unit is your armor's favoured champion, subtract 1 from each of those doing desperate escape tests. Yeah, it's fine. It's cool. it's locking people in combat is obviously always good. It's just slightly less exciting than doing stuff. So Emperor's Children model only. That's unfair. It is cool. It is good. Locking people into combat is really good. Myself and one of my very, very good friends planned a doubles army where we were just locking people in combat with witches and Slanesh demons and things like that. So it is fun. It is cool. So yeah, I think I'm just got a little bit of PTSD over the last detachment. So yes, repulsed by weakness, locks people into combat. You have to take a desperate escape test to get away. Proud and vainglorious. Emperor's Children model only. You can re-roll battle shock and leadership tests taken for the bearer's unit. While the bearer's unit is in your army's favoured champions, add one to the objective control characteristic of the unit. I'm just skipping that one, forget that. Slayer of Champions, Emperor's Children model only. Here we go. The bearer's melee weapons have precision, and each time the bearer makes a melee attack that targets a character, you can improve the strength and armour penetration by 1. Which is great. So you can stick that one on a Demon Prince and you can make it strength 10? Anyway, you can make it strength a lot with all of its cool attacks. Right. Devoted Duelists is the first stratagem. I think all of these are 1 command point as well. Yeah, they are all 1 command point. So no 2 command point ones in here. So this is in the fight phase, and you can select an enemy unit. You select 1 or more Emperor's Children units from your army that have not been selected to fight, and you can select 1 enemy unit until the end of the phase. Melee weapons equipped by models in those character units have sustained hits 1 while targeting that enemy unit. So if you've charged a couple of units into say a big unit of Dark Angel Terminators or Deathwing Terminators, then all of those units that have charged it can get sustained hits 1 for 1 command point, which is really, really good. Beautiful Death. 1 Emperor's Children character unit from your army. In case you haven't noticed, this is a character-based detachment. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit is destroyed, on a 4+, they can fight on death, which is good. Heightened Jealousy is the next one. Again, it's a 1 command point, and this is in your shooting phase or your fight phase. Just after an Emperor's Children character unit becomes your army's favoured champion. So you target that unit, and until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit is from your army that is not your army's favoured champions makes an attack, you can add 1 to the strength characteristic of that attack. So yeah, that's really quite fun, actually. Right, so Diabolic Majesty. So in your shooting phase or your fight phase, just after an Emperor's Children character unit becomes your army's favoured champions, and you pick that Emperor's Children unit, and each enemy unit within 6 inches must make a battle shock test, subtracting 1 from the result. You can only use this stratagem once per battle round. So if you're trying to stand on an objective, and take an objective, you can force the unit which is contesting that objective to take a battle shock test at -1, and then hopefully if they fail, then you can take that objective, etc, etc. Of course, you are also trying to target units and stop them being able to use stratagems and things like that. Refusal to be outdone, and this is in your charge phase, and you pick an Emperor's Children character unit from your army, and you select an enemy unit within engagement range, and until the end of the phase, each time your unit declares a charge, if that enemy unit is one of the targets, you can add 2 to the charge roll. So this is going to stack with the other one, which allows you to move 2 inches as well. So you can add a 2 inches to the move characteristic of your favoured, and then you can re-roll the charge roll as well on the Emperor's Children model. So that's on the enhancement. So that would be re-rolling charges, +2 to the charge, +2 to move. That's quick. That's quick. And then the final one is Vengeful Surge, and this is in your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy has selected its targets. You pick an Emperor's Children character unit, and after the attacking unit has shot, your unit can make a surge move. To do so, roll 1d6. Each model in your unit can move that many inches, which is great. You can't obviously move into engagement range. However, if your unit is not your army's favoured champions, you can re-roll the dice to determine the distance of its surge move. So if you're not favoured, you can surge a little bit further to try to get back into the favour of the gods, kind of thing. So yeah, it's really, really fun. I like this detachment. It's really cool. You're going to have large units with characters in it, just running around, just absolutely destroying everything. So yeah, it's going to be really, really good fun to play that detachment, I think. Let's have a look at some of the detachments, starting with the main man himself, Mr. Fulgrim. Okay, Mr. Fulgrim. Gorgeous, gorgeous new model. I know he got a little bit of hate online when he came out, when the pictures kind of got released and he got unveiled. I think he's cool. He's a cool model. I think I still prefer the Forge World version of him. I don't think that's any kind of hot take or anything. But yeah, Fulgrim, nice model. He's got some interesting rules. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below what you think of Fulgrim. So he's movement 16. He's got toughness 11. He's got a 2-up save and a 4-up invulnerability, as you'd expect, and he's got 16 wounds. He's got leadership of 5+, and he's got an OC of 6. Deadly demise D6, so he's going to blow up on for D6 mortal wounds, and he's got deep strike. Okay. Now, he's got a malefic lash, which is sustained hits 1, which is 6 attacks at a range of 12. Hits on a 2+, obviously everything hits on a 2+, is Fulgrim. It's strength 8, -2 armor penetration and 2 damage. Okay, so I think you're going to be using this a lot. I'll tell you why. He's got demonic poisons. In your shooting phase and the fight phase, after this model has finished making its attacks, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks. Until the end of the battle, that unit is poisoned. At the start of each player's command phase, each player's roll 1d6 for each poisoned enemy unit on the battlefield. On a 4+, that unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. So, firstly, this gives you a really, really cool hobby opportunity to sculpt or build or convert some little poison tokens, some Slaneshi poison tokens, which should look really, really cool. Now, this is in your shooting phase and your fight phase. So I would argue that you're always going to be shooting something that you don't want to charge, and you're always going to be trying to charge 2 units so that you can wipe one out and just tag one with something else, because you do have extra attacks in your data slate. So it's at the end of your shooting phase and your fight phase, so you can poison 2 units a turn. They're gonna, it's kind of going to possibly build up. I mean, I know I always say that you don't really want to just tag a unit and not destroy it. You're always wanting to try and wipe units out. However, you can wipe units out with his melee attacks, his normal melee attacks. He's got demonic blades, which has got we'll just go through them. He's got demonic blades where you can either strike or sweep. So striking with them, he only has 6 attacks, which are strength 14, -3 armor penetration and d6 +1 damage. Or he's got 12 attacks. Both of these have got sustained hits 1, by the way. So he's got 12 attacks at strength 8, -2 and 2 damage. So you can wipe out your unit, or you can wipe out whatever target you want to with your main demonic blades, and then you can use your serpentine tail, which is extra attacks, just to tag something else, so that they can be poisoned. And then next turn they're going to start taking. Hopefully they're going to start taking mortal wounds. And then your malefic lash. So if you imagine, in your turn, you're going to be moving forward. You're going to be malefic lashing something that's 12 inches away, just to do a little bit of damage. Hit them, because it's only on the hit. Select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks. So you hit, because you're going to hit on a 2+. Hit one unit, poison them, charge 2 units over here, wipe one of them out, poison the other one, and then those 2 units next turn are going to be taking possibly D3 mortal wounds, and then rinse and repeat next turn. So you charge, you're moving forwards, you are shooting 1 unit to poison them, you're charging 2 other units to poison and then wipe out the other unit, and then you end up with 4 units which are poisoned. Now, I know it's not going to really play out like that, because the other units are going to be moving, they're probably going to be charging something else, they're trying to kill Fulgrim as well, so I don't think it's necessarily going to kind of stack up, but it's quite an interesting one in terms of how he deploys his damage. I'm trying to think of some really cool units which he could poison, which would be fun to do. Like, so he hasn't got precision, but you could like poison a tank or something and just kind of help to chip it down. Something that's really high toughness. See if you can poison it and just kind of chip away at it throughout the game and something like that. But anyway, so yeah, that's a very, very long section on just one of his abilities, which is demonic poisons. Now, he also has Demon Primarch of Slaanesh. So at the start of your opponent's command phase, which is interesting, select one of the abilities in the Demon Primarch of Slaanesh section over here. Until the start of your opponent's next command phase, this model has this ability. So if you go first, Fulgrim isn't gonna have any abilities. If you go second, your opponent's command phase comes before you go, so you can pick something if you go second in the game. So you can pick one of 3 things. Beguiling Form. Each time a model makes an attack that targets this model, subtract 1 from the hit roll. So if you go first, then your opponent is going to be able to shoot Fulgrim without -1 to hit, so I would hide him in the first turn. Demonic Speed, he has Fight First, and then Enthralling Hypnosis. While an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time that unit is selected to fall back, it must take a leadership test. If it's failed, they must remain stationary in this phase instead. So we can lock things in combat as well. So it's an interesting one. I kind of like that it's not. How do you phrase this? I kind of like that Games Workshop don't do overpowered abilities, and it's like he's not like an alpha strike model. You have to protect him a little bit at the beginning. Because at the beginning of the game, he's not going to have. If you go first, he's not going to have -1 to hit against him. Yeah, it's. You have to protect him a little bit. He's all right. He's all right. I mean, he's still going to be taken because it's Fulgrim and it's a gorgeous new model, and you sort of want to base your army around him. And he does have 12 attacks that are damage 2 or 6 attacks that are damage D6 plus 1, and he can do the poisons, and he does deep strike. So there's a lot of kind of little things that you would play around with him for that. He'd probably be quite good fun in the character. Detachment. What was the character detachment? It's reroll wounds. If you're favoured, yeah. So it could be quite good fun. I think, however, Lucius is better. So Lucius. Well, he's not better. Of course he's not better. Fulgrim is going to be like 900,000 points. But Lucius is a really, really interesting one. He's a lone operative, so he does have leader. He can lead a unit, so he can lead the Flawless Blades. However, he doesn't particularly give them anything other than just being badass. However, he's Lucius, and it's a gorgeous model, and I really like it. I can't wait to paint one. Lucius the Eternal. He's got movement 8. He's toughness 5. He's got a 2 up, 4 up. He's got 6 wounds, leadership of 6+, and he's only got an OC of 1. Whoop-de-doo, I don't care. He's got a feel no pain of 5+ as well. So 2 up, 4 up with a feel no pain of 5+. He's got leader and lone operative. So you're probably going to take him as a lone op. I don't know. Let me know what you think. He has 2 abilities. He's got a challenge worthy of skill. So each time this model makes an attack that targets a character, monster, or walker unit, you can reroll hits and reroll wounds. And rerolling hits and wounds is so he's got He's got the Blade of the Lair, and he's also got the Lash of Torment. The Lash of Torment is sustained hits 1. He's got 10 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 4, -1 armor penetration, and damage 1. Or he's got the Blade of Lair, which is a precision weapon, 6 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 8, -3 armor penetration, and damage 3. And of course, if you are fighting a character, monster, or a walker, you can re-roll those wounds as well. So hitting on 2s, re-rolling, strength 8, re-rolling. So he's gonna be quite fun. It's gonna be quite fun. And then he also has a Duelist Hubris. So at the start of the fight phase, if this model is not leading a unit until the end of the phase, it has Fight First ability. So this is why, even though he has leader abilities, and you can have him in a unit of the Flawless Blades, which I would be tempted by because the Flawless Blades are gorgeous. You'd probably just run him alongside it and have him as a lone op. And have him as fight first, so you can kind of go in with another unit. He gets to fight first, destroy half of them, they hit back, whatever. Yeah, so lone op, Lucius, he's cool. I would do him on a really, really nice plinth, make him look amazing, and yeah, just have fun with him. Right, let's have a look at some of the other characters. So we have a couple more kind of Emperor's Children specific ones. We've got the Lord Exultant, which is a combat character, and he is able to go within the Infractors and the Tormentor units. I don't like how they limit what units these things can go in. He would just be so cool to go in the Flawless Blades. Why can't he go in a Flawless Blade unit? Anyway, so he's got all sorts of different weapons. He can give him a bolt pistol, he can give him a plasma pistol, he can give him a screamer pistol, which ignores cover. It's basically a flamer. And it has 3 attacks at strength 5. And then close combat weapons. You can have a close combat weapon, you can have a power sword, a Phoenix Spear, which is awesome, which has the Lance ability. So my Lord Exultant is having a Phoenix Power Spear. Or you can have a Power Fist, or you can have a Rapture Lash, which is also extra attacks. They're all like 4, 5, 6 attacks. The Power Fist is strength 8, damage 2. The Spear is strength 7, damage 2 with Lance as well, so you get the +1. Yeah, he's really, really fun actually. He's got a couple of different abilities which are useful as well. While this model is leading a unit, weapons equipped by models in the unit have lethal hits. So that's really good. Stick him in. I mean, it would be, again, it would be amazing if he could go in the Flawless Blades. So he can go in the Infractors and the Tormentors. And it's any weapons, not just melee weapons. So your shooting weapons also have lethal hits as well. Which is why you're going to see this guy everywhere. And then he has Euphoric Strikes, so once per battle at the start of the fight phase, this model can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, add 3 to the attack characteristic of melee weapons equipped by this model, and improve the armor penetration by 1 as well. So, for instance, your Phoenix Power Spear suddenly goes to 8 attacks at strength 7 with Lance at -3 armor penetration, damage 2. Which is pretty damn good. And then, if this model is attached to a battle line unit during the declare battle formation step, this model has the Infiltrators and Scout 6 abilities. And that is because the battle line units do that as well, so he gets them. He's cool. I like him. I'm definitely going to give him a spear. I want to give him a spear. I think he looks amazing. I can't wait to paint one. And I'm trying to decide what colour scheme to go. Now I have, if you have a look on my YouTube, I have painted a couple of Emperor's Children. They are bright pink, like almost kind of candy pink. So I don't know whether to go that sort of bright pink, or whether to go black, or whether to go kind of like a little bit of a kind of a midnight purple, kind of really deep. I'm not entirely sure. So let me know what colour scheme you're going to be doing yours. And follow me on Twitch, because we are going to be painting a lot of these. So the next kind of Emperor's Children character is the Lord Cacophonist, which is such a cool model. He's got the backpack, which is like the Sonic Blaster backpack, or the Blast Doom Siren. Doom Siren backpack. Looks amazing. He's got Screamer pistols as well, which have got 3 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 5, damage 2, and they also ignore cover, only 12-inch range, but who cares? He moves 6. He's toughness 5. He's got a 2-up and then a 4-up invuln. 6 wounds, leadership 6, no C1, whatever. He is a leader, so he can join Emperor's Children, Terminators, and Noise Marines. And you kind of want him in the Noise Marines because while this model is leading a unit, range weapons have sustained hits 1. So the Noise Marines are good, by the way. Then get sustained hits 1 as well. It's just going to be so much fun. This is. In your shooting phase, he has a Doom Siren, and after this model's unit has shot, select 1 infantry unit hit by one of those attacks and roll 3d6. For each 4+, they take a mortal wound. And if any enemy unit suffers 1 or more mortal wounds, they must take a battle shock test as well. So he's just awesome. He's really cool. Stick him in a unit of stick him in a unit of Noise Marines. Put them in a Rhino. Make them go blasting around all over the place. Stick him in the transport detachment where they're getting out, shooting, and getting back in again. He's really cool. I like him a lot. And then we have a sorcerer who just gets some sorcery things. He's got warped interference. While this model is leading a unit, each time a range attack targets that unit, you have cover. And you also have, in your shooting phase, after this model has shot, select 1 infantry unit hit by one of those attacks with its agonizing energies, which is one of its psychic abilities. Until the start of the next turn, the model is racked with agonies. The unit is racked with agonies. While the unit is racked, subtract 2 inches from its move characteristic and subtract 2 from charge rolls as well. So agonizing agonies is Witchfire, and then you can do focused Witchfire as well, which is devastating wounds and hazardous. It's D6 shots at or D6 kind of mental psychic powers at an 18-inch range, strength 3, ballistic skill 3, hits on 3s. Strength 5, -1 armor penetration and D3 damage, and then the focused one is strength 6, -2 armor penetration and D3 damage. However, it's got devastating wounds and hazardous as well. So he's all right. He can go in Infractors, Noise Marines, and Tormentors. So you get cover if he's in the unit. So Noise Marines can have cover, Infractors can have cover. He's all right. I personally don't think I'll put him in any kind of unit. Yeah, there we go. That is your Psyker. And then you have a Demon Prince of Slaanesh, which I do like. I think the Demon Prince is going to be fun. He's got 14 attacks with his sweep weapon. It's only strength 6, but you can give him an enhancement that makes that strength 7 and 2 damage rather than strength 6 and 1 damage. He can also strike at strength 8 to 3 damage as well. You only get 6 attacks for that, but again you can enhance that and make it 7 attacks at strength 8, damage 4. And then also he can't lead units, but while this model is within 3 inches of 1 or more friendly Slaanesh infantry units, this model has lone operative, and while friendly Slaanesh units are within 6 inches, if that unit made a charge move, you can improve the armor penetration characteristic of the melee weapons by 1. And then also, if this model is destroyed by a melee attack and it is not fought, roll a dice. On a 2+, it can fight on death. He's just good. He's going to be really, really fun to be running around with your Flawless Blades so that they can get some more armor penetration on their attacks. He's got lone operative, so they're not going to be able to pick him out. And yeah, he's going to be cool. He's also got an Infernal Cannon, by the way, which is a 24-inch range. It's got 3 shots. It's only strength 5, armor penetration 2, and 2 damage. So you can at least try and pick off a couple of Space Marines as he's running in. So that's the Demon Prince. You can also have a Demon Prince with wings. That is, he does like demonic destruction when he charges. So every time he charges, roll a d6 for the number of wounds remaining, and for every 4+, the enemy unit suffers a mortal wound. And then also each time an attack is allocated, it's -1 damage against the demon prince. Exactly the same weapons, and he's just got slightly further movement. He's got movement 14. Again, he's toughness 9. 2+ save, 4+ invuln, and he's got 10 wounds, exactly the same as the other one. Oh no, sorry, the other one is toughness 10. So the one with wings is toughness 9. So it's slightly less toughness for 4 inches more movement. Right, now let's get on to some of the units, the interesting stuff. Right, my favourite unit in the book, the Flawless Blades. The Noise Marines are pretty cool, but I do like these ones. I want at least 2 units of 6. They are movement 8, so if you give them the enhancement, they become movement 10. Or if you give, if you put a character in there with the enhancement, it makes them movement 10. They are toughness 5, which is good. They've got 3 wounds each as well. They've got a 3-up save and a 5+ invuln. They've got one OC. I really don't care. Each time this unit is selected to fight, they have demonic patrons, and they can call on those demonic patrons. If it does until the end of the phase, each time a model in this unit makes an attack, an unmodified wound roll of a 3+ scores a critical wound. At the end of the fight phase, if this unit called upon a demonic patrons this phase and no enemy models were destroyed by attacks made by models in this phase, one model in the unit is destroyed. So they have to hit something and kill it, or kill a model for them not to die. However, an unmodified wound roll of a 3+ scores a critical wound. So they are wounding anything on a 3. They have Bliss Blades, 3 attacks, weapon skill 2, strength 6, which as you can see is pretty irrelevant, -3 armor penetration and damage 2. And there are ways, as we've seen reading through the detachments, where we can make this -4 armor penetration and damage 2. But 3 attacks each, unit of 6 of them, 18 attacks, hitting on 2s, automatically wounding on a 3+ at -3 armor penetration is awesome. I love it. It's fantastic. And you can give, you can put in this unit, Lucius if you want to. There's unfortunately, there's nothing else that can go in the Flawless Blades in terms of leading them, but they're cool. I really like them. So yeah, Flawless Blades, 2 units of 6 please, movement 8. They might even be really cool in the demon unit as well, where you can run them alongside some demonettes and get sustained as well on these as well. So you can get 3 attacks with 18 attacks with sustained, and then you get the 3+ crit wounds as well. So yeah, fantastic, really cool unit. And then, interestingly, the next one in the Codex is a Chaos Spawn. So we have a Chaos Spawn, which is movement 10. He's toughness 5 with 4 wounds, 4-up save, whoop-de-doo. He's got D6 + 2 attacks that hit on a 4+, strength 5, -1 and 2 damage. He's got feel no pain 5+. However, once per turn, when an enemy unit ends a normal advance or fallback move within 9 inches, this unit can make a normal move of up to 6. So it's just like constantly like, rah, just all the time charging at you. Yeah, he's movement 10 as well. So, I mean, that's quite cool. Right, so the battle line units, we have the Tormentors and the Infractors. You can think of these as Chaos Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines with close combat weapons, basically. It's basically what they are. So the Tormentors have a bolt gun. You can give one of them, I think it's one of them, yeah, you can give one of them a melter gun, and you can give one of them a plasma gun. And you can also give them an Icon of Excess. The Icon of Excess, at the end of your shooting phase or the fight phase, if the bearer's unit destroyed 1 or more enemy units, you can get a command point. You take a leadership test, and if you pass the leadership test, you get a command point. They are leadership 6+, which is fair enough. And then at the end of your command phase, they have sticky objectives as well. So that's the Tormentors. So you can have some bolt guns, you can have a melter gun, you can have a plasma gun, and then the champion has a Rapture Lash, which is cool. 6 attacks with the Rapture Lash, which is strength 4. So yeah, they're cool. And then you have the Infractors as well. The Infractors are the close combat variety, so they have the bolt pistol and a dueling saber. The dueling saber has precision, so you are able to pick out enemy characters. The difference between the Infractors and the Tormentors, sorry, I forgot this. The Tormentors have infiltrate, so you are able to infiltrate further up the battlefield, and the Infractors have scout. So they have scout 6, so you move first, which is why you can put one of the characters in here, and then the character gains infiltrate and scout, so that they can do both. So yeah, they're quite cool. The Infractors, by the way, sorry, the Infractors have another ability as well. They have excessive assault. So each time a model in this unit targets an enemy unit with a melee attack, you can re-roll a wound roll of a 1. And if the enemy unit is within range of an objective, you can re-roll everything. So the Infractors, particularly with the Scout 6, are really good at kind of fishing out and clearing out objectives with the re-roll the wound roll. Yeah, they're okay. They're okay. You definitely need like a couple of units of these just to kind of do some of the more ugly work in the army. Yeah, they're not a patch on the Flawless Blades, model wise as well, because the Flawless Blades are amazing. Right. Anyway, let's move on to the Chaos Terminators. So Slaanesh Chaos Terminators. They are pretty much the same as you would expect Chaos Terminators to be. They have a combi weapon if they want, which is anti-infantry 4+, and devastating wounds. It's only got 1 shot. The combi bolter has got 2 shots. They are movement 6 though, so they're quite quick. Toughness 5, 2+, 4+ invuln, and then they've also got 3 wounds, leadership is 6 and 1 OC. And they have deep strike as well, so they can deep strike in, and then you can give one of them either a heavy flamer or a Reaper autocannon. So the Reaper autocannon is 4 shots at strength 7, -1 armor penetration and 1 damage, but it does have devastating wounds, and it's a 36-inch range as well, so it can really reach out across the battlefield. Not that you're really going to be walking these up the battlefield. These are going to be stuck in a Land Raider, and then charging out of that Land Raider with paired accursed weapons, which are twin-linked melee weapons, 5 attacks, hitting on a 3+, strength 5, -2 and 1 damage. So you can also give them chain fist and power fist as well if you really want to. But they have lethal obsession, so in your shooting phase, each time this unit is selected to shoot, if it makes 1 or more ranged attacks, all of those attacks target the same enemy unit. Then, until the end of your turn, each time this unit declares a charge, if you charge that unit, you can re-roll the charge roll. So if you are getting out of a Land Raider, you are shooting a unit, make sure the entire unit shoots that unit, and then you can charge in as well. So again, this is a lot of the Codex is focused around picking on like individual and singular targets, and almost kind of overkilling them as well. So this is another one of those. This is like a win more button, if you like, but it is going to be really useful for some of the tougher units where you need to kind of really kind of put some damage down onto them. Right, Chaos Land Raider. It's a Chaos Land Raider. Each time a unit disembarks from the model, after it has made a normal move, it is still able to charge. So again, you're sticking your Terminators in here, you're getting out and you're charging. You can have a Soul Shatter Las Cannon. So you can have 2 of these, and they have 2 shots. They are strength 12, -3 armor penetration, and d6 +1 damage. It's got armored tracks in melee. It's a Chaos Land Raider, and it moves 10. It's got toughness 12, and it's got 16 wounds with a 2-up save. Yeah, it's cool, and you probably are going to have one in your army. It can carry, where are we? It can carry 14 Emperor's Children infantry models, so that's an awful lot of flawless blades, wink wink. Or you can have Terminators. Sorry, flawless blades take up 2 spaces, so you can only have 7 flawless blades in here. So that's a unit of 6 plus a leader, and each Terminator also takes up 2 spaces, so you can have 7 Terminators in here as well. So a full unit of 6 plus a leader if you want to. Yep, it's really, really good. I think you're going to have one in your army because the Chaos Land Raider gives you so much flexibility and maneuverability around it. However, Noise Marines, I think, are going to go in a Rhino. So Noise Marines are movement 6. They're a tiny bit slower. Movement 6. They are toughness 5, though. 3 up save and 2 wounds. They've got a Blastmaster and a Sonic Blaster. So the 2 Noise Marines can replace their Sonic Blaster with a Blastmaster. And the Blastmaster, you can pick 2 different shooting characteristics. You can go single frequency or you can go varied frequency. The single frequency is very, very pinpointed and it's strength 10, only has 3 shots. Hits on a 3+, -2 armor penetration and damage 3. However, the varied frequency is slightly more shots, so it's double the shots. It's got 6 shots. It's only strength 6, -2 armor penetration again though, but only damage 1. And then the Sonic Blaster, which everybody gets. And then you can swap it out for the Blastmaster if you want. So in a unit of 6, you can have 2 Blastmasters. The Sonic Blaster is 3 shots at strength 5, -1 armor penetration and 2 damage. However, they have Terrifying Crescendo as well, which is brilliant because that just reminds me of the final chapter in Fulgrim, where you have the Terrifying Crescendo at the concert. So in your shooting phase, after this unit has shot, select one enemy unit hit by 1 or more of those attacks until the start of your next shooting phase. Each time a battle shock or leadership test is taken for that enemy unit, -1 from that test. Again, it's a battle shock, a leadership test. It's like not too exciting, but it is quite impactful, especially when you have multiple units of Noise Marines. Noise Marines, they're brilliant. Stick a Cacophonist in here as well. Just shoot, stick them in a Rhino, get them coming out of a Rhino. I think, what's the transport capacity of a Rhino? Very, very quickly. 12 Emperor's Children infantry, excluding Terminators and Flawless Blades. So you can put 2 units of Noise Marines if you wanted in a Rhino. They wouldn't have any leader in there though. Not that they particularly need it. So yeah, Noise Marines, awesome. Get them. And then the rest of the Codex is just filled up with a few extra data sheets. So we have a Helldrake, which I do like. I do like a Helldrake. I've got a Helldrake in my Night Lords army. I will probably try and get a Helldrake in my Emperor's Children. Again, he's just movement 20 plus. He's got he's toughness 10 with 14 wounds. And you'd probably give him the Hades autocannon now. It's 6 shots, strength 8, -1 armor penetration and 2 damage. The Bale Flamer is a shorter range. It's only got a 12-inch range, but yeah, at least he does a little bit more in melee now, with 5 attacks, strength 7 and 2 damage. But yeah, that's the Helldrake. You've got the Mauler Fiend as well. The Mauler Fiend that everybody knows from the Chaos Space Marine Codex, and it's exactly the same. It's movement 10, toughness 10. He's got 12 wounds with a 3+ save, 5+ invuln. You can give him Magma Cutters. So he's got 2 Magma Cutters, and he's got 2 Magma Cutters which have got 2 attacks each, strength 9 and d6 damage, and then it's also got Lasher Tendrils as well, and Mauler Fiend Fists. So they are 6 attacks at strength 7 or strength 14 at damage 1 or damage d6 +1, and you can replace the tendrils with 2 Magma Cutters if you want to. So it's either going to be a shooty Mauler Fiend or a slashy lashy tendril Mauler Fiend. It does have glutton for punishment, so each time this model makes an attack, if it's below its starting strength, you can add 1 to the hit roll, and if it's below half strength, you can add 1 to the wound roll as well. So, I mean, if it's got five wounds left, it's going to be blowing things up pretty quickly. But yeah, whatever. Interestingly, if it's got 5 wounds left, you're okay. If it's got 4 wounds left, it's -1 to hit as well. So, yeah, okay. The Chaos Rhino is movement 12. Like I say, you can put 12 Emperor's Children infantry characters models in it as well, so you can put 2 full units of Noise Marines in it if you want to. It's also got firing deck 2, so you can fire a couple of the Blastmasters out of the top. And units that can disembark from this transport even if it's advanced. However, units that do so count as having made a normal move that phase and cannot declare a charge, but can otherwise act normally. So you can put 2 units of Noise Marines in the Rhino. It can move 12 inches, it can advance, and then the Noise Marines can get out and pick their targets and shoot. And then one of those units can then probably use one of those stratagems to get back into the Rhino if it gets shot as well. So it's quite cool. The Rhino and the Land Raider, I think, are probably going to fit their way into most of the Emperor's Children units. Now we get on to the demon side of things. You can have Shalaxi Hellbane, which is the Keeper of Secrets special character. You can also have a Keeper of Secrets, Demonettes, Fiends, Seekers, and that's it. So that's all the demons in there as well. The Fiends are quite cool. So the Fiends kind of do the desperate escape test if something wants to fall back from them, so you can lock them in combat a little bit and just keep a unit out of the way if you want to. They're quite good as like a bit of a tar pit. They've got 4 wounds at toughness 5. They don't have a save. They've got a 7+ save, but they do have a 5+ invuln, and you can have a unit of 5 of them if you wanted. So that's 20 wounds with a 5 up invuln at toughness 5. Yeah, they're quite cool. You can also heal those as well in the demon detachment. Demonettes are quite interesting. They've got 3 attacks, so you can only have a unit of 10 of these. So that's 30 attacks from a unit of 10, but they do have devastating wounds at strength 4, so that's quite fun. And then the Keeper of Secrets is one that you were going to be able to drop a enhancement on if you want to. They have a Snapping Claws, which are one of the interesting ones, which have 4 attacks at strength 6, -2 and damage 3. However, it's devastating wounds, and they count as extra attacks as well, so you can always take those attacks. And then the Wit Stealer's Sword is also 6 attacks at strength 8 and 3 damage. And then Shalaxi Hellbane, if you do want a little bit of punch in your army, you can drop Shalaxi Hellbane in here. She has a Soul Piercer, which is 6 attacks at strength 12, -3 armor penetration, and d6 + 2 damage. She can also re-roll advance and charge rolls for herself, and then at the start of the first battle round, select one enemy unit to be this model's quarry. Each time this model makes a melee attack that targets the quarry, you can re-roll the hit roll, and you can re-roll the wound roll each time this model's quarry is destroyed. Select a new unit to be the model's quarry. So it's just Shalaxi is fantastic at just assassinating singular targets. So if you can drop her into your army, it's really, really useful too. It's also really thematic to have like a Keeper of Secrets popping up with your Emperor's Children. So yeah, she's fab. She's fab. Right, so that is the Emperor's Children Codex. There's a few things in here which I wish they had kind of changed and tweaked a little bit, like the Flawless Blades not really being able to have anything led in terms of a character in there. I know they're supposed to be like a proud and precision and perfect kind of army where they're all a little bit selfish. However, it's just a shame that you can't have anything leading the Flawless Blades other than Lucius, and Lucius doesn't actually give them anything. So it would be cool to have a a bit more of a melee character that would be able to lead the flawless blades. They suffer a little bit from the same thing that the World Eaters did when they came out, in terms of not having that many options within the Codex. However, I do think the internal balance is actually quite good. I think there's arguments for taking pretty much everything, apart from maybe the sorcerer. And the demon princes, you can sort of make an argument for taking them, but I think everything in the Codex is going to be taken. The difference between the armies, I think, is just going to be the proportions in which you take things. Are you going to take 18 flawless blades? Are you going to take a lot more infractors than anything else, so that you can try and like really scout up and protect and pressurize the enemy? Or are you going to take lots of tormentors and drop in infiltrators like in front of your enemy and just really kind of hold them back and pin them back, while noise marines are in the backfield shooting them with their blast masters and things? So I think it's an interesting codex. I think it is really, really good. I think there's going to be some really fun and interesting builds out there. But like I say, I think it's just going to... all the Emperor's Children armies are going to look the same. The only difference is how many kind of units, which direction you go with, like the focus of the units. Are you going to have lots of noise marines, or are you going to have lots of flawless blades? So yeah, I think it's going to be one of those sort of codexes, and hopefully in the next few years we can see more units added into these. It does help a little bit with having the demons in there as well. But yeah, I think it's cool. I'm looking forward to painting some up, and obviously drop in to my Twitch channel or my YouTube when I'm live painting. I'm live pretty much every day of the week, so painting. So I'll be doing some Emperor's Children when we get some on the painting table. And honestly, I can't wait to paint Lucius. He's probably my favourite model in the range so far. So thank you very much, everybody. Take care. I hope you had a really interesting time reading through the Codex with me, and I will see you next time. Thanks very much, everybody. Bye bye.